Some really interesting research out yesterday from Talbot Mills, and actually, amazing. I'm quoting a story by Mark Dalder, the leading snowflake from the state-funded news organisation Newsroom. But they actually published something useful yesterday, and it was a poll, or some polling done by Talbot Mills, quite a reliable and reputable polling company, which a series of polls seeking to understand the degree to which New Zealand has become politically polarised. But it came up with some really interesting results. It shows that people broadly agree, for example, on COVID-19 measures and gun laws, and Talbot Mills misinterpreted this, and of course Mark Dalder, who couldn't journalism his way out of a paper bag, he misinterprets the polls, but are divided over or opposed to policies for Maori and transgender people. No, Mark, they're not divided over. They disagree with co-governance, and they think the transgender issue is BS. And the question asked, how strongly do you support or oppose the following? And look, I'll just run through some of them. Like firearms, we are hugely, the people polled, requirements to register firearms, 54% of New Zealanders agree with that. 21% don't know, 12% are against. So firearms register, we're into it. And, you know, what falls in the middle? What are we really divided over? We're divided over climate change. And it's amazing. I would say if there's something that 60 to 80% of New Zealanders agree with, that's not polarisation, that's the country's position on something. It is the things that are split down the middle, like farming emissions, 17% are against it, 24% moderately against, 10% for it, 11% moderately for it, a whole lot of wiggle room on that. Bilingual road signs, we're kind of split on bilingual road signs. Maori Health Authority, we're kind of split on that. But there are some issues in this Talbot Mills poll which we are not having a debate about. The horse has bolted, New Zealand has made up its mind, and it's amazing. Leading that out of this poll is allowing biological males to identify as women. And to share these results with you, I'm joined now by Ro Edge from Save Women's Sports Australasia. Ro, this is remarkable, this Talbot Mills result. Tell us what it is.
Oh, look, 60% of people are opposed to allowing biological males to identify as women and compete in women's sport. Only 6% of people strongly support this and 8% kind of support. So what's interesting, isn't it? Like, despite Chris Luxon and Chris Hipkins telling us that it wasn't an election issue, and in fact Luxon said that we were on a different planet if we wanted to make it an election issue, it seems simple things.
Well, maybe it wasn't an election issue because we all do just say it's Todge.
Yeah, exactly. But he didn't want to broach the subject at all. He wanted to stay well away from it. But quite obviously, it was the most pressing social issue in the New Zealand election.
Look, I tend to agree with you, Ro.
Articles.
Yeah.
What's that, sorry?
I tend to agree with you, and I'd also say that our news media misrepresent public opinion on this remarkably, and they are constantly liberal and trans-friendly or trans-radical-friendly in their coverage, our mainstream news media, completely at odds with what New Zealand public opinion is.
Yeah, but that's pretty much our legacy media on a number of issues now, isn't it? So they are totally disconnected.
What then do you think explains the timidity of political leaders on an issue that New Zealanders have already decided?
Because you see the backlash from the media if you dare to speak out against trans issues. So, yeah, the politicians are just running scared. They just lack bravery. But luckily Winston had it, and he made sure that the issue was there in front of us before the election, so we knew who was going to stand up for women's fairness, safety and opportunities. So And now, I love the fact that this polling has come out now, right in the middle of coalition negotiations, because it's going to give Winston a good, firm, measure to be able to say, look, this is something important. And we also know that ACT supporters, from our own polling, like this just backs up polling that Save Women's Sport did, that Speak Up for Women did, that shows that Kiwis do care about this. And I think with ACT supporters, it was 93% of ACT voters were opposed. So, there are lots of alignments between ACT and New Zealand First on these issues. And so I'm hoping, I'm actually...
Well, I look at the other one, Māori wards and local government. That debate for most New Zealanders is over, and co-governance. So it's really interesting that actually in some ways these concerns... See, the problem we've got, Ro, is the issues that you have championed or raised issues about that we've been happy to cover on the platform were largely ignored by the media and mainstream politicians during the campaign. But I think they were what this campaign was about, this election campaign. It was about the war on woke, wasn't it?
Yeah, I agree. It was a huge part of it. Yes, the cost of living was crucial as well, but the war on woke, I think, had equal importance. People are over it. Now, we just want to get back to, some sanity with, our sporting policies and then, female safe spaces. And we need to make sure, too, that the Human Rights Commission, they have undermined women's sex-based rights by conflating sex and gender so much. So, we need a government now that is going to strengthen the provisions, the already existing provisions. I mean, they were already there in the Human Rights Act, but somehow the Human Rights Commission and Sport New Zealand have managed to completely undermine them. So we need those strengthened. And I would like to see the new Minister for Sport and Recreation also require Sport New Zealand's board to get rid of those transgender guidelines. Leave sports to decide for themselves.